So I wanted to give a live demo of just like all of our tech and what we've built. A little constrained because I can't use my computer. So I'll show you the website, and we can go through so like what that means, and then also, I guess for the people here, are you storage providers, or are you token holders, or I'm just trying to figure out what the best parts to show you are. Okay, all right. Well, first I'm going to show you the website, if that's okay. Also, if you ever have any questions, I know this isn't really helpful for the live stream folks, but Peter in the back, that's the Glif co-founder. He can help answer any questions. Yeah, show you around. Peter, we can use my computer, so I'm just going to go through the website. Yeah. Oh, this looks funny. Safari. Well, that's a funny bug. Anyways, so first, in case you haven't heard of Glif, we've been around for quite some time. We built the first wallet for Filecoin, the multi-sig for like the SAFT distribution, the ICO. I think we built the first notary. So we've been building critical apps and tools for Filecoin for quite a while, and most recently we built our staking and lending DeFi protocol. So what you see on the screen here is kind of a dashboard, mostly for the token holders, and you know, I think there's a lot of videos and stuff that I'll link to show you more from the storage providing side. A lot of that right now is done on a command line. And I was going to show you that here, but I can't use my computer, so that's okay. Well, if you have any other questions after this, we can go through it in person, in real life. But I guess I should just walk you through some of what's on the website and how some of these things work. So I think like first news is actually last night we crossed 3 million Filecoin deposited, which is a huge milestone for us, and something that took a lot of work. So right now, if you look at some of these, let me blow up the screen. Oh, okay. So I'm going to go through some of the stats just to kind of, maybe they're obvious, maybe they're not, but in case they're not, this talk should help explain like what these numbers mean, how we got them, and what you can expect them to do in the future. So first, I think like some of the most important stats that we have right now are on this pie chart. So you'll see there's available, borrowed, collateral, and exit reserve. So I'll just like go through those quickly so you know what they mean. So out of the total Filecoin that's been staked in the pool, which is 3.2 million, the pool reserves 10% of that supply to make sure that exiters can get out. And that's what the exit reserve is. So the exit reserve is just 10% of all the staked fill in the pool. And if you stake some fill and then you want to exit that fill, or you want to actually like get that fill back, you'll take Filecoin from both the available balance and the exit reserves. But if there's no available balance in the pool, then all of your fill that you're getting back will come from the exit reserves. This is not borrowable by storage providers. So the next column, which I kind of alluded to, is this available balance. And the available balance is what's available for storage providers to borrow. Actually, last night, that was basically at 0. And Peter and I woke up, and it was at like 500,000, which was kind of crazy. It was like pouring in last night. Yeah, it's really exciting. So if you are a storage provider and you need to borrow fill, now is a great time. And I will show you links to all of our demo videos and docs and stuff so you can get set up. We'll be here all week. We can help, you know, we can sit with you and do it together. So however we can help, just let us know or hit us on Telegram, Discord, wherever, Twitter. So the borrowed fill is how much has been deployed by two storage providers already. So so far, storage providers have borrowed over 2.3 million Filecoin from the pool, which is great. The collateral is basically pledged funds that the miners are bringing to the protocol. So as a storage provider, when you want to borrow Filecoin from the pool, you have to actually take your miner node and you pledge it to your agent smart contract. And I'll talk more about agents in a bit. And also I have a talk on Thursday that's a technical deep dive into agents and the agent architecture for Glif. It's a really nice composable primitive for Filecoin DeFi. But so this collateral is basically the Filecoin that storage providers have brought to the pool that's either vesting on their nodes or already pledged to the network. So if you as a storage provider have a node with, let's say, 100,000 Filecoin in initial pledge, then if you pledge that node to the protocol, you'll be able to borrow 100,000 Filecoin and you'll have brought 100,000 in collateral. So those are what those numbers mean. What other statistics? So let's go through like briefly the APY. Now, for storage providers, the APY is fixed at 16.2%, but for stakers that number varies, and it might be confusing why that happens. So generally, let's imagine like in a pool where there's, let's say, 100,000 fill, and that 100,000 of that Filecoin gets deployed to a storage provider that's paying 16.2%, then the stakers would earn that 16.2%, right? Because 100% of that Filecoin is being used. In reality, because we have the exit reserves, there's usually never a time where 100% of the pool's assets are actually being used, right? And so if you look at the pool utilization rate down here, this is actually the percentage of fill that's in the pool that's been deployed to storage providers. So that's why the rates, the APR that the staker earns, or the APY that the staker earns, it fluctuates with the utilization rate of the pool. So the more funds that get deployed to storage provider, the higher that yield. And if storage providers are paying back their fill, then the utilization goes back down, and then so does the APY. Any questions so far? I know it's kind of an intimate crowd, but like feel free to just shout them out. Yeah, if you have any. We can translate stuff too. Yeah. Oh yeah.
So out of curiosity here, that we have annual percentage yield. So that will be sort of like the return yield to anyone who collateralize their file on the platform, right? So my question is, how do you guys sort of like earn the revenue through this staking itself?
Fantastic question. So storage providers basically rent fill from this pool, which means they borrow as much as they want. They can borrow as many times as they want, as long as they stay in the collateral limits. And then once a week, the storage provider has to actually make a payment back to the pool for the fees that they owe. It's just kind of like renting a book from the library. You rent it for as long as you need it, but you pay a little bit every time, like maybe every week or something. I actually haven't rented a book from the library in a while, so I don't know if that's a good analogy. But yeah, so that's actually how the earnings are brought back into the pool, right? There's every week storage providers are making payments, and those payments are rewards that stakers earn. And that's reflected in actually the iFill redemption value. So that's a great sort of transition to another good statistic. Like, how does iFill work, and what is iFill? So commonly, in case it's unobvious, liquid staking protocols on other blockchains too, like Ethereum, when you put down an asset like Filecoin or like Ethereum, you get back a token in return that represents your position. In this example, for this pool, the token that you get back once you put your Filecoin in is called iFill. And basically iFill represents your portion of the pool. It's kind of like a redemption ticket for the assets that you're owed. And so as storage providers are making payments, the assets of the pool are going up, but there's no more iFill that's being minted. So each iFill ends up becoming worth more Filecoin every time a storage provider makes a payment, right? So that's why you see that iFill redemption value now is not one-to-one with Filecoin. If you had staked Filecoin on day one when iFill was worth one-to-one with Filecoin, if you were to redeem that today, you would have earned like 1.67% return, because you see how that's increased from one-to-one. Does that make sense? Sweet. Any other questions with iFill or anything like that? Keep going. Sweet. trying to think if there's any other good stats on here. Is also like, feel free to shout out if you're like, what does this do or what does that do? I mean, this is a great time. All good? Sweet. So I also want to point out, as a storage provider, if you go to our main site, oh, there, the UI kind of got fixed. As a storage provider, one thing that you can do is you can plug in a miner ID to this, this little input field, and it will tell you exactly how much you can borrow right away. So if anyone here has a miner ID, I can plug it in, or I can choose a random one from like Phil Fox or something. Anyone want to toss up a miner ID? Maybe not. It might be kind of private. But if you have one, we can put it in. All right, I'll find one on Phil Fox. Okay, I need to change the language for sure. One day, maybe, be able to read this. Okay, let's see. Let's find mining chart. Oh, top miners. That's what we want to see. Okay, so I'm just going to pick a random one of these, right? I'm just going to... That one. Okay. So let's say maybe someone in the audience is actually running this miner and doesn't want to say it. That's cool. I get it. But if you have a miner ID, you can plug it in here, and it will tell you actually two stats. So this miner, because of the collateral they already have on their node, if they want to maximize for borrowing, here, let me blow this up. You see that okay in the back? That's good? Okay, cool. So actually, let's look at this miner. Okay, this is actually really helpful. So if you look at this miner, they basically the Filecoin that they have is distributed in 3 buckets, right? There's some that they have available, there's some that's been pledged, and there's some that's been locked, investing, right? And so basically, like when you want to figure out how much can I borrow as a storage provider, you just add these numbers up. So like if we look, this balance is 424,000. When you go to Glif, you see 424,000. And this is because there's a term that we use in Glif that's called a storage provider's equity. And this is your equity value. So you can borrow 1-to-1 with your equity, right? And there's a couple other rules about the borrowing caps, but I'll skip those for now because they're very well described in our docs and stuff. And for the most part, this is how much you'll be able to borrow. And as you earn vesting rewards and as you continue to pledge, your equity value keeps going up, so you can keep borrowing. Our most efficient storage providers borrow daily to match their ceiling speed. They're big storage providers, and they borrow just a couple thousand a day to match what they need that day to seal. They're not overpaying on fees because they're not borrowing a huge amount up front. It's a really efficient way to use the pool. I want to talk a little bit about this second statistic here. The max amount you can borrow and withdraw. Now, this is a very unfamiliar thing for storage providers for the most part, and actually, it being in this room, you might have some alpha. So generally, if we look back at the equity, this is we're looking at this miner ID. The equity value is 400. Let's just call it 425,000 fil. Now, the pool will allow a storage provider to withdraw its rewards such that the equity value still stays 1-to-1 with what you borrowed, right? So if I borrow 425,000 as a storage provider, I can't withdraw any funds because I'm maxed out with 1-to-1 with what I've borrowed to my equity. That's what we call the debt to equity ratio. So if you have a debt to equity ratio of 1, you can't withdraw. But what you could do as a storage provider, and we've had storage providers do this before, is you could borrow 210,000 fil and withdraw all of it, take a cash advance. And when we have storage providers do this to pay for their bills or whatever, we don't really know what they do because withdrawing it takes it out of the system. But by withdrawing that money, they're taking equity out of the system, right? So if I borrow 210,000 fil and then I withdraw it, I'm subtracting 210,000 fil from my equity, which means that I've borrowed 1-to-1 again, debt to equity of 100%. And so then I'm capped. But this is how you can maximize for like a cash advance from Glif. This could be really helpful for certain storage providers. Any questions with that? I know that was a lot, maybe hard to understand, but it's also written in our docs, and I can go. Let's go. Where was he? Oh, here we go. Oops. So you can find all of this in our docs. I don't know. Is this? Oh, let's share. Good memory. Okay. So yeah, these QR codes will take you to YouTube series that's translated in Chinese for setting up as a storage provider. So you can easily get started. Our docs here are Chinese translated, and you can see everything that we've everything that I've talked about today is in the docs and probably explained better than I did just now. Yeah. So let's see. Is there anything else? There must be some questions. Anyone have any other questions? Anyone you want to talk about? Generally, too, doesn't have to just be about Glif. Yeah. Oh, that's okay.
Just I mentioned about the slides. You want me to show you on the websites the calculation. I mean, not say we're going in depth on the docs, but the calculations of the collateral is based on the miner ID. They will let you show that there is like the pledge, the available balance, and then there's a lock, the lock rewards, right? So this collateral will actually going to calculate based on the available balance, or it will calculate based on all whatever inside the miner ID.
Everything inside the miner ID. Yeah. So initial pledged funds and also vesting funds are counted as collateral.
And the next question here is that since it's calculated based on all in the miner ID, in the event the miner ID have some issue, let's say they lost the pledge or anything on that, right? So what sort of penalty and what's going to happen on the Glif side?
Totally. Great question. I'm going to switch to some page in the docs, and then I'll switch to the Chinese version. Okay. There we go. So generally, there's two rules that storage providers have to follow. One is they have to make their payment on time. If they miss 3 weeks of payments, then they can get into trouble. And they have to recover faulty sectors within 3 consecutive days. Now, if you just get slashed as a storage provider, it doesn't really matter. As long as you still make your payment and then eventually you recover those sectors, it's okay. You just continue. It's kind of the protocol, the pool doesn't really care. Now, in reality, for a young network like the FEVM, and also a young protocol like Glif, there's a lot of danger in automating rules like this. Like we built this platform for storage providers because we know how hard of a time it is, to provide storage on Filecoin. And so I think if we automate these things too early or too soon, it can have dangerous side effects for storage providers. So in reality, we've had plenty of storage providers miss a payment. We've had plenty of storage providers. Actually, we had one storage provider go completely 100% faulty sectors. And we have a line of communication with them, so we work with them to get them into a good place. And we learn from that what is a safer way to automate these things. These rules are the ones in place now, but it's completely manually enforced. And so if you're a storage provider and you're running into trouble, you just send us a message, let us know what's going on, and we'll work on getting you back into a place of good standing. Yeah. It's a good question, though. Any others? What's up, guys in the back? Let's see. Yeah, I wish I could show you the command line. That was the meat of this show. But I think let's go back here. Yeah, I guess that's kind of all I have for now. Sorry if that ended too soon. But again, we'll be around all week, and if you want to find us on different socials, I should have really put that in here. you can hit us up on any of these. So feel free to reach out, get in touch, have a chat, even if it's not about Glif, anything regular, like just Filecoin related. Happy to talk. And yeah, thanks for listening.